Hey everyone, welcome back to the shop. I hope everyone is having a great weekend. And congratulations to the CBJ on winning the Winter Classic, the Outdoor Winter Classic in Columbus. I didn't watch the game, but I heard all about it, and they played great, 5-3 win over some other team no one's heard of. So that's great. As a big hockey fan, I can appreciate that. I'm kind of bummed I don't have season tickets anymore. I really had great seats. I was third row center ice. They were just awesome. But life moves forward, and that's how we do this stuff. I apologize for the delay. I've been super busy doing 11 other things. Some of it related to car stuff, a lot of it related to really fun stuff, and then a lot of it related to money. so uh, so you need the money in order to do the cars, and you need the cars in order to do the money, and then you need both in order to have fun. So trying to keep all three of those, juggling all three of those at the same time. So we're having a good time with that. Went to a fantastic, very small car show earlier this morning at a local church that was just up the road in Port Charlotte. And one car I'd seen before around town, it was a 76 Camaro, 77 Camaro. And I've seen that one before, but the other cars I hadn't seen before. Well, there's the C8. Everyone's seen a C8 before. But there were a few very, very cool rides. There was a Kaiser there. There was a very cool rat rod Willys on air. That was really neat. There were two Chevy trucks there that were just absolutely beautiful. There was a square body C10, a late model C10, absolutely mint. Manual. It was beautiful. Long bed. Literally looked like a showroom off the showroom floor. That's how clean that thing was. And then there was I want to say 77 or 78 step side that was also just absolutely beautiful. There were some other cool vehicles there. There was a Prowler, Plymouth Prowler, and that was very funny. The guy tried to tell this other guy that it was chain drive, which was amusing to say the least. I think he was mistaken between like the timing chain and what chain drive actually means, but that's okay. That was still fun. It was fun to sort of have a front row seat to that conversation. That was interesting. There was a beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I don't know what the color is. You guys will have to educate me on the official Chevy color. But it was original paint, and it was a melon, an orange, like honeydew melon, or sorry, cantaloupe color. 57 Chevrolet Bel Air convertible. Absolutely just stunning, beautiful car. The only mod I could see on this car was a vintage AC unit that was added. And otherwise, the car was, it had the Continental tire rack. It had it was really, really beautiful. A lot of cool cars, very, very nice people. I saw a Conquista, which is a very, very rare Chevy El Camino GMC. I believe it was a GMC that made the Conquista. It might be Chevy who made it, but those are extremely rare to see, along with the Caballero, and there was another one too. I forgot what it was, but cool cars, very nice people, very small church. They had a 50-50 raffle, and they were doing best in show and stuff. I did not enter the Viper. There was really no reason to do that. It was, I'm a rookie there. There's no reason to try and show off or anything like that. I enjoyed the cars. I enjoyed the people. And they had an Elvis impersonator who was actually very, very good. And he was a lot of fun. And he did some of the trophies and announcements and stuff, which was pretty cool. And then tomorrow morning is the sort of regular Cars and Coffee in Port Charlotte and Northport. It's a place called Coco Plum, which is a big mall area. And that'll be tomorrow morning. So hopefully we see some of the cars out there. I've seen a few. I've been there a few times now, and they have some very, very cool cars. So hopefully we'll see some of those again, and hopefully some new ones. So I'll take the Viper to that. Although if we finish all this stuff up tonight, I may take the Miata just for a test drive. Although I'll probably just do the test drive tomorrow afternoon. Just to be safe, just do it around the neighborhood so I can push it back if there's a problem. But we've got some quick finishing up to do. All of the hose stuff is pretty much done, except I got the return hose back on because I talked about this in the last one. That hose, where is it? Hang on. I have a little piece of it here somewhere. Yeah. So this hose is, you can see it right there. It says 3/8 and it says 9.5 millimeters. So that 0.5 millimeter is actually a big deal because most of the hose fittings on the Miata are metric. In fact, all of them are. So I need a 10 millimeter hose in order to run that return line. And trying to get this on a very small aluminum tube, you risk bending it and all of that. And this is very firm tubing. It's all brand new. It's also nylon reinforced. So it's very stiff. So you can bend aluminum very easily just pushing this on. So I tried WD-40. I tried just some silicone lube on there, and it was still very difficult to get on. So I resorted to using the heat gun. And I just kept pressure on this and heated it up. And then I had pressure on the aluminum tube, and slowly it expanded enough to where it flipped on. So if you can't get it on with just lubricant like WD-40 or silicone, try using some heat, expand that rubber a little bit, and then hopefully you can slip on the tubing. That's when you're trying to go inch to metric, that's kind of a good way to do it. And also when it cools off, it'll clamp back down. So the good part about having the smaller tubing is less likely to leak. That's the good part. So we're done with that. I'll bring you guys over and we'll do, like I said, the return is on. I got to do the clamps on the return. And then we'll tighten down the main reservoir. And then we'll add the main feed line. And that will be the end of it. We have the high pressure line installed. And that will be it. I do have to get, I have to put that one of the tie rod bolt nuts back on because I thought I was going to pull the steering rack off to get that one line tightened. I didn't have to. So I had to put all the steering rack bolts back in, which is kind of a pain because they're hidden, but they all went back in. And hopefully audio is working for you guys because we have a different mic setup tonight. So I'm going to bring you guys over here. I'm going to pull the mat out from underneath and bring this hose and these clamps up, and we'll go crack under the hood. So give me a second to do that stuff. And that guy has slipped out. We're going to help him out. There we go. There we go. Okay. So we have our feed line. Just going to set these guys off to the side for a sec. We're going to get our Fernie pad out. So we don't have a lift down here. In the shop, version 1.2. No, it's like 1.76345.9. Dot start date 3282. 0.1133. Important. All right. Get some light in here. Also, I have two of my Harbor Freight lights. The battery charging portion isn't working. I don't know what's up with the charger port or what's going on here, but it's not working. So I'll bring you guys around to the front of the car, and we'll come over here to the steering area, which is on, this is called the hot side of the car because we have our header here. And the hot side, the other side is the cold side. This is the hot side, our power steering. This is our high pressure line. This is the power steering pump. Our return line is right here, this little guy. I got to take this tape off. The tape was holding the clamp up here so that they didn't fall down and I can't get to them. And then we have our feed line here, which feeds from the power steering reservoir to the pump, then goes to the high pressure line, goes down to the steering rack, goes back and forth, and then our return line is right here. So we'll get our return line clamped in place. I want to double check the high pressure line up here. We'll get our clamps in place for the return line. And we also, I put in the little tab down here that's on one of the mounting screws for this. I put the little tab in here to hold the AC trigger wire out of line. And then we'll put the rest of the stuff, all of the intake and all that stuff back in. I'm also, like I said, this guy, I showed you guys this the last time. I'll show it to you again. This is the PCV, and he has cracked right there. You can see that crack. That's not good. So we can get vacuum leaks and all this other stuff from that. So I'm going to get some replacement tubing. This is very low pressure, and he is still sealed down here at the end. I can do a zip tie and just sort of hold him, but I would like to get a replacement for that, and I'll also get a replacement for the one over here. That's a little tiny 5-minute project. This one's a little bit more extensive, obviously, because we've done a whole bunch of videos. Hey, Liz. I am going to get another light just so I can see down there where this clamp is going to go. Now, I have this masking tape on here, like I said. I just put this on as a stopper. I just did this with a little tab on the end like that sticks out so that it won't fall down. Gravity works every time, folks. Every time. So we'll grab a pair of, they make special hose clamp pliers, but I'm just going to use regular pliers, and I'm going to slide you guys a little bit further in so that I can get around you. And I'll bring you closer down and a little more centered on the power steering stuff. Okay. So for the one way down there, we use some way down clamp, way down needle nose. Actually, will those guys work better? Maybe? No, because I think we're going to be at an angle. So I have some super long needle nose. And like I said, I was going to get another light, but I did not get another light. So the only other light I have is my headlamp, but that'll work just fine. This headlamp actually has brake lights on it, which is pretty cool. So I'm just going to set him in place. First one I'm going to do is the one up here, so I'm not fighting two clamps at the same time. And these guys squeeze together. And you want to make sure he gets on the far side of the bead. This is nice. These clamps actually don't go small enough. Are you kidding me? Nope. See, this is the other problem with 3/8 hose. God, this prop rod, it could not be more in the way. It's so small, but it couldn't be more in the way. I am probably going to have to get different hose clamps. I actually think I am. Because I'm working with really crappy light, I can't tell where the bead is. No, that guy grabbed on. I don't know why this guy isn't grabbing on. He didn't get stretched out or anything. So for now, I'm just going to put him right on the bead so that he doesn't fly away. And also slide those razor sharp edges as far out of the way as possible, because you're going to cut your hand here, I promise. If I was really good, I would get some power grips clamps for this because you don't want it to leak, and it's kind of a one-time thing. So that's it. So we have our hose clamp on down there, and we have the temporary one up here. I'm just not thrilled that I can move this. You guys can see how easy that is. Yeah, not too thrilled. And this thing is not bolted down. He just has bolts to keep him in place. He's not tightened. So let's grab our other return line. And this is where OCD comes in, is when you're setting these clamps and how you set them on the tube, whether you do it this way or this way, and then have both of them match up in the same direction. You know, you wouldn't have them flipped like this. Depends on also how you don't want your hands cut. So let's take a look at how this tube's going to go. He's going to go right there. And this is weird. He is way too long. He's like way, way too long. I don't know what the deal is with OEM parts. Now see, here's the difference with molded parts. If you have something that's molded like this, it has a radius, and then you try to, you know, it has to go longer or whatever. When you fold it back, you can crimp it in here. Or sorry, you crimp it on the back side is where it starts to crimp. So this one, it looks like, I mean, he's not even close. He's, okay, I'll show you how far off he is. Of course, I have no light over here. So he's off by that much. Whoops. He's off by 1.5 inches, 1.75 inches, like by a lot. And I don't know, I mean, you can't really, he doesn't go around anything to pull him down and up. So he's like really far off. Like, yeah. He's really far off. I don't understand this. These guys are like, hey, yeah, this is OEM. This is how, you know, this is how Mazda does it. No, it's not. So I'm rolling this sleeve back to make it easier to move it out of the way, because I have to trim this guy now. I don't have the original, so I'm going to have to put a mark on here. I always make this more difficult than it really needs to be. It's not like Miata's had a shit ton of variances, you know, but okay. I also think it's a lot of, well, close enough, right? So I'll set this guy over here. Come back, get him in place. Make sure my hand covers up the light where I need to mark it. This is like really far off. I mean, that's more than 1 inch. It's got to go to the inside of that white line. So give me a second to cut this. Do someone else's job. Didn't know this was this hard, but okay. Okay. The good news is it's a very tough hose. The bad news is they did not cut it the right length. Trim up some frays here. It's a little bit better. And I'm going to give it a little bit of heat and clean up the end. Sorry, I'm not doing this in front of you guys. I'll be there in a second, I promise. Just heating up this end to give it a little cleaner look. It's a little bit better, not much. Hang on. Just a lot of fraying here. This is, of course, stuff you should not have to do. But this is also the problem with aftermarket stuff. You think it's dead on, and they'll swear up and down that it is dead on, but it's not. It is not. All right, well, wish I had nicer tubing cutters, but I don't. So hang on a sec, almost there. Because the other problem is my razor blade flexes when I go to cut it. So as much as it looks like I'm cutting straight, the blade actually flexes. I think that's a little better. It's hard to tell. Yeah. All right. Just a little bit of fraying now. We'll take care of that. Sorry, this part sucks. This is just someone not paying attention, small details, something like that. And they make 5,000 of these until they realize the problem, but they don't care. They just sell them all. So I'm going to buy them. Right? Here's my dumbass buying them. This is also a good testament to test fitting stuff. So when you do get new parts, definitely test fit them. And I don't care if it comes from the manufacturer. You should test fit them. So we've got our hose trimmed down a little bit now too. And I can slide this guy a little bit further down and then unravel him. So he can go when he is in place. that protective sleeve is actually protecting stuff. So for this, we're going to have the same problem with it being, well, no, it should be the right size because this is supposed to be Miata size. So let me grab some lube. I'm just going to give each spot a little bit of helper. And that should work. Don't have to hose this stuff down. You're not putting out a fire. So now we're going to figure out which way the clamps go. These clamps are obviously going to grip on tight. So we'll put sharp edge closer to the header. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. So these clamps are very simple, actually. Slide that guy as far back as we can. And then we'll do the same on this one. Make sure he's facing the same way. Now there are special hose clamp pliers. Of course, I have 4 different sets in Columbus. I have none down here. So I have to make do with my needle nose, which I really don't enjoy. So we're lubed up down here. And we'll do this guy first. Whoa, come back here. Yeah. Because then we can wiggle this how we need to. All right, he's all the way up. And then we can also rotate him to help him out. And then slide this end on. And there we go. We have our return line here, which is nice and snug, and he's protected by this line. And then we have our fill line, which is right here. And he is nicely protected by that. But I believe this is supposed to come up and over that. Of course, there's no way to get your hand in there. Okay, so instead of taking the hose all the way off, I'm just going to undo this connector. Run this line back up over both the fill and return. Yeah, because he's actually in the shape of that line. And then run him under the return. Yeah. Okay, where did he plug in at? Right there. I'm trying to stay out of the way of the camera for you guys. So there we go. With most wiring, it'll be kind of in the shape of where it needs to go. So if it needs to go around something, you'll see it's already kind of formed that way. Same thing here. It's formed to go over the return line. So I knew that it had to come over top instead of coming from underneath. Let's get this clamp. See if I can get to it here. All right, we're going to have to get to it from above. There we go. Yeah. Okay, come back here. I should just get a regular pair of pliers for this. I'm trying to use these extendo pliers. Hang on, let me get rid of these guys. Just because they're close, I'm trying to use them. Just a regular pair of needle nose. will work fine. I think. Should work okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Why does he keep going there? The hell? Come on. The bigger problem is this thing keeps moving. So when I do get a good grip on him, he goes out of the way. And god damn, this thing is in my way. I don't know why. He won't. This is so frustrating. You really do have to have little Asian fingers to get in here and do most of this stuff. That's not racist. That's just how they're built, and they're really good at it. Okay, come from this side. The other hose clamp pliers that you can get actually lock in the, they lock the clamp open so you can slide it up and down the hose, because that's what I'm trying to do here, is slide it past that bead, and he's catching on that bead. But I also have very limited movement because I have this coolant hose bracket right here that's making it difficult to move. But in order to get up and over that bead, I have to have the spring clamp completely wide open, like I just got him right there. So now I just need to find the bead, get him in the right place, and I think I can go just a tad more up. There we go. Yep, there it is, past the bead. So for this guy, same theory. Close him. Technically, you open him all the way, but you're closing the pliers all the way. Then wiggle him up because he's a very tight fit. And then we have some calcification that's coming off the clamp. Whoa, come back here. And we're going to do this. And then we're going to grab him from the edge and we're going to turn him to the side so that he is not on top here where our hands are going to get cut. So I'm just turning him about a little less than 90 degrees. We can still get him with the pliers. But you want to make sure, I'll bring my cool pointer in here so you guys don't have to look at my hands. Where's my cool pointers? Here he is. So hopefully you guys can see this. So this guy right here is rotated that way to get it out of the way so your hands don't get cut up when you're working in here. Same thing with this. Now here's the different part. This clamp, but he's going to have to get replaced. This clamp is actually 180 from that clamp. So when he gets replaced, we'll probably put him rotate him all the way down underneath here, because normally you're not going to stick your hand between the two hoses. Your hand's going to be up here working on the air box, whatever. So we want to keep those sharp edges away. So I'm going to check this, the high pressure hose, really quick, and then clamp these two down, put the heat shield in, put the intake back on, and we're pretty much done. Oh, we got questions here. Can you hear me? No, I don't think that's why the fill hose was the wrong size. I think that is just piss poor manufacturing. That is someone saying, whoops, and then, hey, let's sell it for 10% off. They'll just cut it down. We're giving them more than they're paying for. They'll just cut it down. I honestly think that's what it is more than anything else. All right, where'd the pliers go? We're done with those. I don't know what I did with them. I guess I put them back. Okay. What else we got here? These guys need to get clamped down. Again, this is a 10 millimeter on a couple of extensions. I was using this for other stuff. Don't really need the extensions. Make sure he's lined up and flat. And then also try and keep that wire guide where he's supposed to go. And I believe he's maybe 100 degrees on the engine bay, or on the tab, the mounting tab. So he should be pretty close. So our power steering rack is in place. I want to say that's a 17, but I think it's an 18. I'm going to double check him. I still need this 10 mil, so I'm going to hang on to him. 17 or 19. He might be an 18 too. Let's just check. Nope, he's a 19. Oops. Okay. Maybe. Yep. Yeah. He was on there snug, but he can go a little bit more. I remember leaving him kind of swivel loose so that we could mount this up in place. So the one down there is definitely tight because I had to rivet it while it was in place. So high pressure line, return line, feed line, all in place, all clamped. What do we have left? We have our air box that goes in there. So we'll put that guy back in. After, I don't know if you guys can see it, he is completely covered in dirt and crap, just sand and stuff, nothing terrible, but we're going to wipe him down just because clean is good. By the way, this is a very nice cold air kit from DDM Works, but it should be called just a warm air kit because not much cold air gets in there. Oh, come on. But it does a good job shielding. So there we go. That looks considerably better. Get inside these edges here. These creases. Okay. So this major one is a 12. I'm just going to make sure I have everything done here that I need to do. Yeah. So this guy comes in. Up here. I'm trying not to send that bolt. So this shield is to block. This is the intake for the car. This is where your cold air comes in and goes to your intake manifold over here, all the way on the other side. So air comes around the front of the car and goes over there. So you have to block the heat from the header, which is right here. And this does a pretty good job of it. Now, the other nice thing that I have is I have this great vent that sucks in cold air and sends it right to right to the cruise control unit, but also right to this air box. So that helps as well. Why this bolt is 40 millimeters long, 50 millimeters long, I have no idea. But actually, it's from the original air box that was in here. Just reuse these bolts. So now I need to line up the other two. Just do those finger tight. And then you have two more. These guys are regular M6, 10 millimeter head. Okay, what's the problem? Oh, it's not flat, is the problem. By the way, I heard David Johansen passed away. That sucks. He was actually really good. I like David Johansen. I liked him in the New York Dolls. I liked him as Buster Poindexter. I need to see where this hole is. Oh, he's way back there. What the hell? How the hell am I supposed to get my hand in there? Hang on. How the hell did I get my hand? I guess maybe I used just the sockets before. Maybe. Okay. Yeah, I guess I just pulled them out kind of all at once there. It's not a swivel, but it'll be okay. No, it won't. So we'll do this guy first. Of course, use the exact distance of the brake fluid reservoir. So you can't screw them tight. And then come back with this setup. Normally this would not be in the way, and when you're doing the first install of this, you would install this later. But instead I'm doing this the most difficult way possible. With a left hand that doesn't work. And we're done with that. We're going to grab the 12 and where's my 12? Get this guy tight. Yeah, for some reason this is a 12 and those are 10s. I think just because of the original airbox. So yeah, that's how this guy sits in here. He does a really nice job. I got to say, I'm pretty content with them. What else do we have? We don't have anything else that's 10 mil, so we can put all this stuff back. Putting tools away. It's always a good thing. All right. This guy's been sitting here for a couple of minutes, so de-dust him. Oops, let the clamp fall off. Which way does he go? Yeah, that way. Okay. And I believe these guys are 2 different sizes, correct? Just making sure we have an 8 mil and a 10 mil. Yeah, nice. Okay. So, of course, we'll grab our new zoomer too. I did get a new zoomer, AC Delco. It's the G12 batteries, whatever. It's a little heavy, but I have the AC Delco stuff at my shop in Ohio for my quarter drive and 3/8 drive power wrenches. They work great. I'm going to move you guys back just a little bit so you can see how the crossover goes on. This is the intake crossover. So this guy goes here, and this one's been modified. Normally, there's a big Helmholtz resonator here. It's a big box that gives the intake a sound versus, like the exhaust. Usually do sounds for exhaust and stuff. The Helmholtz resonator actually makes a sound for the intake. And so I cut that off and sealed it. So get this guy on here. And then you have your PCB, and you also have your IAC control here, which is this is a big tube that goes right down here. And so I'm going to come on the other side of you guys. I have to do yoga to get past you guys. And this is a combination of getting this guy on, and he is also, he's got a spring clamp on him as well. And then lining this up and getting him on there. There you go. And he gets seated, and then our PCB. So that's all that takes. And then make sure these clamps are in the right position, and we'll get those guys tight. Let me grab, what did I do with the pliers? That's so weird. I thought they were over by my Rockstar, but they weren't. That's odd. I didn't put them back. I don't think I did. Yep, I did. This one, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to put that clamp away, the sharp edge of that clamp away from where your hands go. You can also keep it away from other wiring and other hoses and stuff too. I have no depth perception, so I can't tell how high up, if he's over the bead or whatever. Okay, so this guy's back on. Let's zoom these. This guy's a 10 on this side and an 8 on that side. You don't need to super clamp these guys in any way. And more, I wish you guys could see the back bend that I have to do in order to get around to the laptop. So, did that light go out? I think he did. So there we go. That's the intake back on. And then we have our cruise control vacuum line. And what's really nice is he has these little white tabs here. Shows you exactly kind of where he goes. And he goes underneath. And I guess there isn't a white line there, but he goes right here and sticks in. He goes right here, and then he attaches over on that side. So slide him on the intake manifold here. Slide it back here. You can see the wear marks on these, and he comes all the way back over to the vacuum control for the air intake. We'll take our 10 mil that we're not using anymore. We're done. Except I just lost the socket. There it is. Okay. I'm going to do some more yoga and put tools back. These pliers are so heavy, they're going to yank my pants down. That's a whole other website, isn't it? Put our zoomer away. Clean up our other stuff here. And take our light out, and not bad, right? I think all the other connectors are hooked up. So now we'll do power steering fluid. But I can't do power steering fluid until I get those clamps. So I'll replace those clamps and then fill it up with, because what I don't want to do is on the return, have it all spew everywhere, and then I don't know where any leaks are. So that's the downside about not, again, not having OEM parts. If that was a 10 millimeter hose, those clamps would work perfect, right? Move you guys back here. Oh, of course it catches on a little teeny tiny piece of, what did it catch on? This is what the wheel caught on. It was a little piece of sand, whatever. So that's it for the Miata for now. We'll get it down on jack stands tomorrow. Actually, tomorrow, where the hell am I? This camera's so closed. Okay, sorry. Everything's back in place. The car's basically ready to go. I just have to get those 2 hose clamps for the return line, slightly smaller, and auto parts stores will have those all day long. So O'Reilly's, AutoZone, Advanced, whoever's open, whoever's still open. And they'll be super cheap. They'll be $1 each or $1.50. But what I really should do is I should order power grips. Power grips are like hardcore heat shrink. They're fantastic. They're one-time use only. They work great, especially for stuff like that with power steering line. You heat them up and they close and they're done. They're not opening again. You have to cut it off if you want to open it. The only reason to cut it off is if you have a problem with something else. So that's why they're really nice. They're not going to cut the back of your hands when you're trying to work on other stuff. They look really nice because it really helps clean up the engine bay. So might do some power grips in the future. And that's for all of the lines that take the hose clamps, the return line and the fill line, the feed line. Get power grips for those. Just look up, it's Gates, the company who makes all the rubber hoses and stuff. They make power grips. So if you just look them up, and the sizing, the last 2 numbers on the part number is the millimeter size. So if you need a 10 millimeter, it'll end with 10 or it'll end with 12 or whatever. You can look them up. It's very easy to do. It's all metric, and they're very, very nice. They're great for stuff like PCV and like the power steering lines. Coolant lines, they work great because they don't leak. Your leak's going to be coming from somewhere else. It won't be coming from your hose clamp. They can't vibrate loose like these can. And they're good to, like, I don't know, -60 or something. If you're driving in -60, you're not watching any of this stuff, so you're not going to know. But they're awesome clamps. I have them on a couple of the race cars. I absolutely love them. And they're good. Good stuff. So I might do power grips at a later date. And tomorrow, when I get back from the event at Coco Plum, I'll do an afternoon one. I'll show you guys how to bleed the air out of the power steering line, when you do a new power steering fluid or hoses or whatever, you're going to get air in the system. And I'll show you how to bleed that out on a Miata. It's very simple, but you will need to elevate the front of the car like this. That's why I'm not taking it off the jack stands tonight. So you want it in the air so that you can just move the wheel freely back and forth. You do that about 10 times with the cap off, and you make sure that it's staying full. The cap, you can see, has a couple of different seals in it, and it has a gauge. So this seal is pretty hardcore, and then the one up top. So you want to make sure that's not engaged. So you just have that out, put a paper towel around here, whatever, and keep it full, keep it at the regular full mark, and go back and forth and back and forth. And because of the way the system is designed, it's going to pump the air up to the top, and it's going to come back through the return line. And then because the fill hose is lower than the pump line, it's going to stay in the fill in the reservoir. It's going to stay in the reservoir instead of getting sent back to the pump and compressed air. So that's the good part about this system. You just have to go back and forth a few times. You'll feel the steering tighten up as you do that. And I don't know, you might be able to hear air coming out of there. I haven't sat there and listened. I've been driving when I'm doing it. So you might be able to hear the air come out of there. But that's how you do that. And then once it's down, then you can put the car on the ground and you can go back and forth and you can check fluid level and everything. But it should be nice and tight, and it should feel really good. It also shouldn't be loose one side or the other. If it's looser on one side or the other, that means you got to jack it up again and just re-bleed all that air out of there. Make sure you have, I guess it's going to be about a quart, maybe 2 quarts of power steering fluid. Get good power steering fluid. They have additives and stuff in there that'll make your power steering rack and all the seals and stuff last a lot longer. The technology is so much better than it was even 5 years ago. So get good power steering fluid. Who makes good stuff? I don't know. Mobil 1, Castrol, any of the major oil brands. Lucas makes really good power steering stuff, really good transmission stuff. So get that stuff. Get some Lucas in there, and that'll help your power steering rack last a lot longer. So that's about it for tonight. And I got to figure out how to charge these Harbor Freight lights too, the ones that aren't charging. I don't know. I have to do some Dr. Evil stuff on those and get them charged. But that's pretty simple. It's the hardest part is those 3 lines down there, the push and pull hard lines, and then the return line, and making sure that hose goes on and that hose stays tight, the fitting stays tight on the rack as you're putting the return line hose on. That's the hardest part on this. And the next time I do that, I know exactly where to position that return hard line. Even though it's weird and they only did it on 96s and 97s, I know where that hard line goes now in order to do the return hose. So put that there, then crank it down, then and put the return line on, then put the whole steering rack in the car. Don't try and do the return line while the steering rack's in the car. So lesson learned, but that's how it goes. That's why we're doing this stuff, right? On a 94 Miata, it'd be super simple. It's a little tiny elbow. That's it. And then on later Miatas, it's actually a banjo fitting. So you don't have to crank down on that compression nut in order to, tighten the line. It's just a banjo fitting. It's super simple at 14, I think. So that's okay. That's why, like I said, that's why we do this stuff. So we'll be back tomorrow. I'll show you guys how to bleed the lines. We'll take the car off the jack stands. We'll take it for a test drive. Hopefully you guys will hang out while I go to the end of the street and back. And I'll bring it back in here and let you know if we have to put it back up on jack stands or what the deal is. But yeah, Miata is going to be up and running. Perfect weather down here for the Miata. Sunny and 80. I don't want to rub it into all of you guys. I know it's cold where you are. I'm sorry. This is how it goes. So thanks again for hanging out tonight. I really appreciate it. You guys are great. Thanks to all the subscribers. Watching you guys, just getting those messages from YouTube is really cool. Hey, XYZ subscribe to your channel, or you have a new subscriber. And then coming to the page tonight, I see 2 new subscribers. I'm like, hey, that's cool. It makes me feel good. I really like that. And I appreciate you guys. I'm glad you like what I'm doing here. I'm being as real as I can. Nothing's staged here. Nothing's fake. I'll do some prep work just so it's not kind of boring, but I won't fake anything for you guys. No bullshit. This is all the real deal. And yeah, if you have any questions, comments, whatever, definitely put them down there. I've gotten a whole bunch of really nice comments from people. And like I said, I'm still working on merch. So I'm going to keep going on that. We'll get merch to you as soon as we can. And then the other good news is I think I got a ride for the limo down here. Isn't that great? I know you guys have missed the limo. Yeah, like you've missed genital warts. Okay. Anyway, limo's going to come down here. We're going to finish off the limo and get it running and driving around Florida, which I think will be a ton of fun. Plus, I'd love to take it to the drag strip. I mean, with that 383 stroker, that thing will move out, put the water in the tanks, and I think that thing will do pretty well. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah, so thank you, everyone. I appreciate it. Don't be afraid to tell your friends about the channel. I'd love to have suggestions from them too if they have any ideas. And if you guys have any ideas on cars you want to see here, let me know. We'll try and get some stuff here. Leo just got his new S2K. Gwen's got her GT4 FOUR, the Toyota. And we've got friends with tons of different cars. So, oh, excuse me. Green chili burrito making its way back. Let me know, and I'll see what I can get here. So thanks again for hanging out tonight. Don't forget to show someone that you love them today. Give them a kiss on the cheek. Give them a kiss on the tip of their nose. Hold their hand. Give it a squeeze. It's really important for them, but it is far more important for you. Thanks, everyone. I will catch you. I'll catch you tomorrow. We'll do some stuff this afternoon, tomorrow afternoon in the Miata. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a great night. Let's see if we can do a cool dolly shot. Not really. As I trip over my own foot.